Great. Here is your fully immersive, long-form legal revenge story based on the title. HOA blocked my driveway while I was hospitalized. I had the only legal easement into the subdivision. I didn't say a word when the HOA president marched across the gravel lot in her sandals and polyester visor, jabbed a finger toward my truck, and barked something about unauthorized vehicles. I just pointed to the laminated copy of the easement order hanging in my window, the one signed by the county recorder's office. Her lips moved for a few seconds, then she stopped. I watched the color leave her face when she realized the truth. They had blocked the only legal access road into the entire subdivision. And I owned it. I never wanted any part of this. When I moved out here, I was just trying to slow down. My wife and I had bought the place as a retirement project. A modest little house tucked behind some cottonwoods in the canyon. A winding dirt road, a good patch of land and peace. That's all I wanted. We'd spent most of our lives in the city, dealing with noise, sirens, and HOA newsletters that read like threats. When we found this place, I felt like I could breathe. Again, I'd wake up with coffee, sit on the back porch, and listen to birds instead of traffic. Sometimes I'd walk the old road just to feel the crunch of gravel under my boots. It wasn't much, but it was ours. My wife called it our pocket of quiet. Then came the heart attack. Out of nowhere, one morning, chest pain hit me like a steel clamp. I blacked out before I could reach the phone. The neighbor found me slumped on the porch and called for help. The ambulance had to use the gravel access road, the only road to get through. The paramedics said another 5 minutes, and I wouldn't have made it. I stayed in the ICU for 6 days. My wife never left my side. We weren't thinking about neighbors, driveways, or property lines. We were thinking about whether I'd ever come home again. When I did get back, thinner, tired, grateful, the driveway was gone. Not literally gone, but blocked. 3 metal poles with bright yellow chains stretched across the gravel axis. A fresh sign had been bolted into a post, "Private HOA road. Authorized vehicles only. Violators will be towed." I thought it was some mistake. Maybe the utility crew had done some work. I asked my wife if she saw who put it up. She said someone from the HOA came by while I was in recovery, said it was part of a neighborhood beautification plan. Laughed. Beautification. It was a gravel road running through wild sagebrush. I figured it would clear up with a phone call. I checked the mailbox and found 2 letters from the HOA. One was a notice of non-compliance for using the road without proper authorization. The second one was a fine, $1,200, illegal access to HOA managed property. I blinked. I read it again. My pulse spiked harder than it had in the hospital. My wife touched my shoulder and whispered, "Let it go. We can talk to them." So, I did. I emailed the board, calmly, politely. I explained the emergency. I even attached a scanned copy of the hospital bill and the paramedic report. I asked them to call me. No one did. A week later, another letter. This one was colder. Legal language. Threats of escalation. It ended with a line that stuck with me. Continued trespass may result in legal action or revocation of neighborhood privileges. Trespass. On the road I used to get to my own house. I went to the next HOA meeting. I brought a copy of the property map I'd gotten from the county clerk years ago. I pointed out the gravel easement clearly marked, explained that it was a recorded access point predating the HOA's formation by 30 years. They smiled politely, nodded, and told me they'd take it under advisement. Nothing changed. In fact, they doubled the fines. That's when the tow trucks started showing up. One morning, I caught them hooking up my wife's Subaru. I asked them if they had authorization. They said the HOA gave them permission to tow non-resident vehicles. I said, "This is our home." The driver shrugged. "Talk to the board." That's when I stopped being polite. I didn't yell, didn't march across lawns or threaten lawsuits. I just opened the file cabinet in my garage and pulled out the manila folder labeled Easement Records. 1972 to 1999, my late uncle had owned this land before us. He worked for the county survey office back in the 70s and had kept every single document. Map and approval form tied to the property. The original subdivision plat, stamped and notarized, showed the access road as a legal, permanent easement granted to lot 14, my lot. But here's the part the HOA didn't know. The gravel access wasn't just a path to my house. It was the only point where the subdivision connected to the county highway. Every other entrance snaked through private ranches or unapproved fire lanes. If my easement was cut off, the entire neighborhood was technically landlocked. I spent the next 2 weeks gathering more than just documents. I contacted the county land use office and requested the original infrastructure filings. I called an old friend who still worked in zoning. I even got a copy of the original permit for the gravel paths maintenance, signed in 1981, signing upkeep responsibility not to the HOA, but to the owners of Lot 14. Forever me, I stayed quiet until the next HOA board meeting. This one was larger. A few neighbors had heard about the fines, and some were worried about access too. The board sat in their folding chairs under the pavilion like they were running a courtroom. I waited until public comment, then I spoke. I laid the documents on the folding table: easement rights, county zoning maps, signed permit responsibility. I said, I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to inform you that you've illegally blocked the only legal access road into this subdivision. I own the easement. Your sign is a violation of county code. Your fines are invalid. And if you continue to restrict access, I'll have no choice but to report the HOA for obstructing emergency service routes, a felony under state law. The silence was something I'll never forget. One of the board members tried to respond. I just handed him the contact number for the county recorder and said, you can verify it tomorrow. 3 days later, the chains were gone. Signs two board members resigned that week. One of them, the one who sent the towing orders, ended up being investigated for misuse of HOA funds tied to the towing contracts. I didn't pursue it. I didn't have to. The new board sent me a letter, certified, apologizing for the misunderstanding and assuring me that all future access rights would be respected. In accordance with county zoning laws and easement documentation, I framed it. It hangs in my garage next to the map my uncle gave me. Now, when I drive down the gravel path, no one waves, and that's fine, because I don't need noise. I don't need drama. I don't even need their respect. Just want what I always wanted. A quiet place to grow old with my wife. And now, finally, I've got it. No signs. No chains. Just gravel under my tires and peace in my chest.